It's the 15th of May and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Now, with university fees set to increase exponentially, I've come up with a plan to beat the system. I'm starting my own university with competitive prices. For just $6, less than a cost of a visit to the GP, I will teach you one fact.
I'd like a fact.
Okay. Did you know that university students are being exploited?
Can I have my money back?
Of course. Can I have my fact back? Tonight, one group of people is happy about more money in the budget, another group is sad about less money in the budget. Geez, I hope you like this sort of stuff because it's going to be the news cycle for at least the next 4 weeks. First though, Mark Humphries has the headlines.
Former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd has taken the witness box at the Royal Commission into the failed home insulation scheme. So if you've been wondering what Kevin's been up to, he's up to his eyeballs in serious shit. Mr. Rudd was due to give evidence yesterday, but his 31-page statement had been heavily censored. If the Treasurer is looking to save money, you should have a word to someone about using so much black ink. Besides, if you want to censor Kevin Rudd, it's cheaper to use this guy.
Quickly. Does this guy ever shut up?
The censoring was an effort by the Commonwealth to protect cabinet confidentiality, a century-old convention of Australian democracy that ensures the public never hears what cabinet members actually think and only hears party-approved lies. But today the Commonwealth uncensored Rudd's testimony, meaning that black ink was even more of a waste, as was that century-old convention. Former Prime Minister Julia Gillard has revealed the cover of her upcoming memoirs. So if you've been wondering what Julia's been up to, she's been up to her eyeballs in a sweet Random House cash advance. The memoirs will be titled My Story. As you can see, Gillard is begging forgiveness for such a common title. That said, My Story was better than her original title, Untitled Document 1. The book, which is a 448-page tome chronicling her 3 years and 3 days leading the country, falls short of Bob Carr's 480-page memoir, which means Julia Gillard is either lazy or her obliques are concave enough and didn't warrant writing about. The cover was unveiled at an event yesterday, and to coincide with the announcement, Christine Lagarde, head of the International Monetary Fund and Miss Powersuit 3 years running, recorded a personalised message.
A woman is a bit like a tea bag.
They're full of leaves. The best ones are named Twinings. The top bit sometimes rips off and you have to use a spoon to get them out of the cup, otherwise you burn your fingers.
You only know how strong she is when you put her in hot water.
Oh, that's much more flattering. Treasurer Joe Hockey gave his first post-budget press conference at the National Press Club last night, where he had the opportunity to have his dick kicked by journalists other than Sarah Ferguson. At one point, he was questioned about the paid parental leave scheme, and he chose to go on the offensive.
We've reduced the threshold from $150,000 to $100,000. I noticed that there weren't many journalists criticising us for breaking that promise.
Hang on, Joe. One day earlier, you said you hadn't broken any promises.
No, they're all serious and they're all being implemented.
Except that many of them have been broken.
Well, that's your assertion. You are wrong.
Who's wrong now? For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Well, next up tonight, the federal budget. Not content with crushing the hopes and dreams of the Australian public, it's moved on to bigger and better things. Crushing the hopes and dreams of state premiers by proposing an $80 billion cut to federal health and education funding for the states.
We were surprised and shocked.
A kick in the guts to the people of New South Wales.
This will not go away. It is not going to be taken lying down.
Yeah, you hear that, Tony? It will not be taken lying down. Sure, it'll still be taken because there is nothing they can do to stop you. They'll just be heaps mad about it and probably standing up. Because the states say the revenue shortfall is just a ploy to get them to ask the federal government to raise the GST, making the states look bad and Abbott look like the good guy by not doing it himself. A ploy made all the more frustrating by the fact that the premiers said they had no idea cuts of this magnitude were coming, even though they all met with the Prime Minister just 2 weeks ago, where there was a mood of harmony at the conclusion of the Council of Australian Government's meeting. But the Prime Minister was just like Judas at the Last Supper. He wanted the second last time they saw him to be a nice sit-down before he sold them out.
Federal and state, we will work together in perfect harmony.
They should have known something was up when they weren't actually in harmony. But then Judas Abbott came to collect his 30 pieces of silver.
Well, thanks for letting us know about this last month. If you wanted us to raise the GST, why didn't you just say so?
We don't want you to raise the GST. If you have to raise the GST, well, so be it.
You tricked us. I mean, we're supposed to be on the same team.
You're just state government. You'll do what the federal government says.
But we sang together.
I was only humming. Anyone else got a problem with the federal budget?
Perfect harmony.
Yes, everyone has a problem with it. But it's not the first time the government has tried this trick of shifting the blame onto anyone but themselves.
The Labor Party has caused this budget emergency.
And that's the excuse I'll use to gut your services like a pig in the slaughterhouse.
Okay, that is why we needed recommendations from the Independent Commission of Audit.
Which was a well-trained talking parrot that repeated back to us exactly what we told it to.
Okay, and if the GST must be raised, it will be the fault of the state governments.
I have placed the GST peanut butter on my scrotum and the state premier puppies will crawl to me to lick it off.
Hey, you know, we can hear you when you voice your inner monologue. Why do you keep blaming everybody else?
I have an illness.
I do not have an illness.
Hey, we can still hear you.
Of course, that's just a fiction. There's no way the Prime Minister spends his days secretly plotting with someone just off screen.
It'll be available when a family's youngest child turns 6 and is at school.
Someone put a soliloquy camera down there. We'll be right back.
Have you ever shifted the blame onto someone else to make yourself look hard done by? Did you do it so consistently that the pattern became very recognisable? Are you not as clever as you think you are? We'd love to hear about it at the Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
Well, finally tonight, one of the key announcements in Tuesday's budget was that $4 billion would be stripped from university funding. So good luck finding a replacement for that money, universities.
The government will also now uncap student fees.
$4 billion funding cut from unis. Unis able to raise student fees. $4 billion hole, ability to charge anything. I don't know how they'll do it. They'll just have to shut down all the universities, I suppose, like they did when this approach was applied to the United Kingdom in 2009 and Aberystwyth University had to shut down. Sorry, I misread that. Aberystwyth University actually raised their fees to the maximum possible limit, as did almost everybody else. But thankfully, that's not going to happen here because Education Minister Christopher Pyne said,
well, the prices might go up or they might go down.
yes, because competition works. Just like when electricity companies were deregulated and your energy bills went right down. Or how petrol is so cheap because you can buy it everywhere. But in the unlikely scenario that the Education Minister made an innocent mistake by opening his mouth and letting a lie fall out, the Grattan Institute has made some estimates on the likely price increases.
A science degree there goes from $8,363 to $14,230. And if you look at the very bottom one, you can see there the medicine degree goes from $9,792 to $37,000, which is a 286% increase.
Yeah, you know, when we hear that Australian universities are falling behind those ones from overseas, tuition fees wasn't the part where we wanted to catch up. Now, oh, hello, piece of pie.
Don't touch that pie!
No good?
No, that's humble pie, Tom. We don't want a taste of that.
Why is there humble pie on the desk?
Because for so long we've been proud of this little country with its affordable education and free healthcare, and I used to enjoy bringing that to the attention of other people. Specifically American other people. It's really the only thing we have on those guys. And I like to remind them of that fact using my delicate conversational wit and adorable charm. Do you remember last week when you and me went to that dinner party and I was politely conversing with that American guy?
Which American guy?
I mean, how much do you even owe in student loans? Is it infinity billion dollars, you fat Hey, John Wayne, what do you think of my Glock? I don't care. Medicare, baby! Now, here's what's wrong with your country. Yeah, that was a nice party. Except for that American idiot.
I think that was my dinner party. And I was that American idiot. That was your gun.
Quiet, Theodore Roosevelt. But now, if our university fees go up and we have to start paying to visit the doctor, I'm going to have to apologise to all you Americans, because now I have nothing to lord over you about. Except for the way you say herbs. Pronounce the first letter of your word, you ucking orons.
Oh, he took the pie. Damn it. But the Australian government has good reason to deregulate universities like the Americans do. They want Australia to have Ivy League universities. You know, your Harvard, your Yale, your... I want to say mouth dart? But, you know, elite, exclusive, the best of the best for the richest of the rich.
America has 7 of the world's top 10 universities.
Yes, of course, Minister, but they also have hundreds of universities that barely function.
What? No. We don't want those. Our universities will be 1 in a million.
Yes, but you can't have 1 in a million without having 999,999 that aren't 1 in a million.
Yes, we'll have the 1 in a million.
No, but that would be a 1 in a 1.
Yes, the best of the best, the tip of the iceberg.
But there's 2/3 of an iceberg submerged under
Look, just give me the tip.
So you want every university to be the tip?
Yep, king of the hill, but without the hill.
So the universities will be king of the ground?
Yep, tip of the king.
Did you go to university?
1 in a hill.
It's just like the saying goes, rich children are our future. Good night.